Hi and welcome to the channel. So today I wanted to go through 6 bits of equipment that beginners tend to forget about and should perhaps pay a little bit more attention to. Now, whether it's because you don't know it, you haven't done your homework, whatever it is, I'm going to go through these because I think they're really important and I think you should know them before you go out on the trails. Before we get started on that though, I'm going to run a little competition. Now, it's not going to be anything massive. It's not going to be anything hugely expensive. It's just going to be a little competition. It will be some sort of equipment that I use or I recommend. And if you stay tuned, I'll let you know about the competition at the end of this video. So let's get started. First piece of equipment, people tend to forget about this a lot. Socks. So the most important bit of equipment you've been given in backpacking and hiking is your feet. People tend to forget their feet and looking after their feet, but your feet are your motor vehicle for your backpack. So you wouldn't go out with a motor vehicle that you hadn't serviced and you didn't know worked. So your feet require some medical attention, some care, some thought going into them. So one of the most important things for beginner backpackers is just buy some really good socks. Now, you can go super expensive, you can go super cheap. What you've got to find out is what works for you and what works for your foot. Everybody's feet are different. I'm not really a foot sort of person. I have terrible feet, or at least not the prettiest feet, shall we say. But socks, you have to find out what you need. What fits your feet, what is comfortable for you, what doesn't cause hot spots and what doesn't cause blisters. There's a few I recommend here. So I'd try between the few. I've got lots of friends into backpacking and hiking and I've questioned them and they've given me kind of a few brands to have a look at. Like I say in other videos, I'm not a brand person. It is whatever works for you. Now the super expensive ones are Darn Tough socks. They're from America, really good. They have a lifelong warranty. I've never actually tried that with the socks, but if you ruin them or if they wear out, you can just get sent another pair. But they are super expensive, so you have to be careful there, and they have to work for your feet. The next ones are Injinjis, which are like they're like gloves for your feet. So they have separate toes. And what this is supposed to do is stop the rubbing between those toes, and therefore you get less blisters. I know people who swear by them. They don't work for me. I have different problems on my feet, on the heels that I need protection for, and not the toes. But they're both good. So Darn Tough socks, really super expensive, good socks though. Injinjis are the little toe socks. They're quite good as well. I live in Germany at the moment for work, and Falke are my go-to socks at the moment. They're kind of a bit more expensive than a standard store-bought sock, but they are made especially for trekking and hiking, and they are really good. Find the trekking ones. There's different types on the Falke ones as well. They even do merino wool and things like that. Find the ones that suit you. Now, if you want to go super cheap, go to an army surplus store and see if they have British Army socks in there. They are super tough, super hard wearing, and they're actually really good for the price. If you can get some unused ones, obviously that's better. If you're getting second-hand ones, try them with a thin pair of socks underneath, or wash them properly before you use them. So that's it on socks. So the first one, socks. The second one, in my opinion, is your mobile phone. We tend to forget about our mobile phones. We all sit at home and we're on the internet and we death scroll and everything else on YouTube, like you're doing now. And what we do is we tend to think that signal lasts everywhere. Signal's all over the world. When you go into the forests and into the wild a bit more, signal becomes a little bit more precious. Now, what I do recommend, there's brilliant apps out there for hiking and trekking. What I do recommend, however, is download the maps so that they're offline. That way, if you've got no signal, you can still look at the maps, find out where you are, find out how to get home. So there's kind of two parts to this. So firstly, download some offline maps. Secondly, why not try getting the old paper maps? Now, I know this is an expense and the apps are probably cheaper, but if you're going hill walking in the same area or in a specific area to start with, you probably only need to buy one map. Learn how to use it. Maps, I love maps. I love the paper maps. I love finding where I'm going. I love looking at the trails and what I see out on the way. And use a compass. I've got some videos on here of how to take a bearing on a compass, and it's very, very simple. It's really not hard. It's not rocket science. So my second tip, either download offline maps or learn how to use a map and compass and buy the paper maps that you require. Number 3, I'm used to backpacking and hiking in Europe, especially England, Scotland, Wales, Germany and France. All over these countries have lots and lots of water supplies, whether it's a river, a mountain stream, a lake, whatever it is, they're all good water supplies. So my number 3 tip is get a water filter. Mountain streams can look like they're beautiful and they're super clean, but they still contain some of the bacteria and germs that you don't want to ingest into your system. Buy yourself a water filter. I've got a video on it. There's a very cheap one that I recommend. It's a very good one. I recommend filtering the water. Then I recommend boiling the water. And then I recommend putting a water purification tablet in it. That will cover you completely for all the bacteria that might be in there. And just as a safety precaution, it's better to take that might out and know it's safe than it is to just trial. The last thing you want when you're underway is diarrhea and vomiting and some nasty things going on in your stomach. So, number 3, water filter. Okay, already on to number 4. Nice and easy, this one. So, mobile phones are brilliant. Mobile phones are absolutely rubbish if you have no power for them. If you are relying on your mobile phone, even for the offline maps that you've just downloaded, you need to be able to charge that, because at some point you will run out of battery. Then your mobile phone becomes useless and is just a weight you're carrying around like a brick. So, power banks. I'm going to put some links in the descriptions below to good power banks. There's some Anker ones and there's others, really good power banks. They're tried and tested, and I recommend them. I've used them on hikes. They're brilliant. Get yourself a power bank. That's tip number 4. Okay, tip number 5, and a pet hate of mine. I've done lots and lots of long distance walks. I've done coast to coast in England. I've done Hadrian's Wall in England. I have done John O'Groats to almost Glasgow, which includes the Great Glen Way and the West Highland Way. And any time I've been on the more famous walks, just off to the side of the path, I'll always find toilet tissue and human poop. So, tip number 5 is take a poop scoop with you. I'll put some links into the descriptions of the ones I use. They weigh like 13 grams and they cost you around 8 to 10 euros. It's a no-brainer. What you do is you go off the path, and everywhere in Europe kind of accepts this. Look up the rules first, because there are certain areas you can't do it. But go off to the side of the path, dig a little cat hole. It's about 20 centimetres deep. Do your business. Wipe your bottom. Cover up your business. With the stuff that you've wiped your bottom with, your toilet tissue, fold in on itself, put in a separate Ziploc bag and carry with you. At the end of the day, you're either going to get to a campsite or you're going to pass somewhere where you can get rid of that rubbish. If you are, however, in the wilderness for days on end, then you could use that toilet tissue as a fire starter if you have a campfire. If not, collect it all and take it with you, please. It's one of my pet hates. So that's tip number 5, buy a poop scoop. Tip number 6, and our final one. Tip number 6 is to carry bin bags with you. Now, a rubbish bag of some type. So anything that you're going to use, anything that you're going to have. So some of the freeze-dried meals come in packets. You have your meal, and then where do you put your packaging? Make sure you carry some extra bin bags. Now, when you go outside as well, I use these Asian noodles, little packets and things. Once you've used that packet, if there's nowhere to get rid of it in the wild, please don't put it onto the trails. Fold it, put it in a Ziploc bag, carry it with you and your rubbish. Also, get it in a Ziploc bag and don't put it in the main compartment of your backpack. Put it in one of the side pouches because it will smell. It's still got some of that food in there, especially the Asian noodles, which is why I mentioned it. And some of those dehydrated meals can really smell if you're walking for a long distance after you've had that meal. You don't want that smell getting into your clothes. You don't want it all over you. You just end up smelling like a freeze-dried meal. Not very good. So, bin bags. Take bin bags with you. And that was the final tip. Tip number 6. And now you're almost there to becoming a pro backpacker. Okay, and now competition time. So I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to have a little competition. Now, if you subscribe and like this video, plus put a comment of the reason why you should win some bit of equipment off me, what I'll do is I'll wait a few weeks, see what I think is the best reason for giving a bit of equipment to someone, and then I'll contact you, get your name and address, and I'll send you directly a small bit of equipment. It's not going to be anything huge. It's not going to be a new tent. I don't want to disappoint you, but it's not. But it'll be something that I use and I recommend for you. And you can go and try it out. So it's free. Subscribe, like, and comment on this video. That's it. That's the easy way. I'll randomly choose one of you. And like I say, I'll send you a bit of equipment that I enjoy using. Thanks for watching and speak to you soon.